Hello everyone, JamieStarr. So, as a sort of tag on to the video I just did about the Democrat Party and everything, I also came across this other video. I think maybe Atheism is Unstoppable or Andy Warowski. One of those two did this, but I wanted to bring this up like I said, an add-on to the other video I'm uploading in the same batch, and because I think, again, if I was talking to a friend and they're doubting that there's this war on white people and everything like that, I think if you want proof of it, you can tell, because now it's starting to leak into a war on mulattoes. I have to edit and upload a video interview I did with a friend of mine, but one of the videos he had sent me were these two girls, I'm pretty sure I covered it, talking about how they weren't accepted as white, and, so they had to identify as black, and that's their identity, and this, and that. So, here's another video of shit like that, and that's this is how bad it's gotten. That people that should be obvious signs of diversity and all of these leftist values are now being targeted and being told, you must choose. As if there's a problem with being mixed, you must check one of these goddamn boxes. We must put you in a box so that you can then fit with our Marxism. It's so insane. And it bothers me so much when, if I ignored all of this and I just sort of like listened to Republican commentators, like Andrew Klavan or, Mike Cernovich, whoever, you wouldn't hear any of this sort of divisive pitting one ethno group or a gender against each other and everything like that. It's only in leftist politics. And I try to tell friends of mine that are liberals where I'm, yes, I have a side, one side reflects my values, but when I'm looking at all this, I'm looking at it from an overview, as if I'm a political atheist. Like, yes, there's some values, but I acknowledge where my biases are on issues like abortion and things like that. But looking at it from an overview, the left is continually telling the right what they are doing. There's a constant projection where it's like, the he will not divide us, and they're the ones where it's like all the divisive politics. So let's get into some of it. Divisive politics.
I am a Hispanic Jew, and I very much identify with both of those things.
I would say I'm Filipino, but this country is filled with, the Hardy Boys of race, and they're like, no, you're lots of other things, and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
My mother is Cuban, and my father is Finnish American, and I identify as, I don't know. Kids.
And here's the other wonder of it. How do you identify? How do you see yourself? I mean, there's a level of I've referred to the race aspect of it as racial narcissism, but how do you see yourself? And then then it spills out into the cultural media aspect of it, where it's like, there's no characters I identify with. I identify as a lesbian, so I need to see lesbians in front of me, so I don't feel alone. It's such weirdo crap.
Ran up to me in school and asked me if I was Mexican, and I was like, yeah, sure. I was probably, 7 or something, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'm Mexican. So I asked my mom that night, I said, Mom, am I Mexican? And she was like, no, I am black and white, and your dad is white, so you're a quarter black. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to say it. I'll just say I'm Mexican.
Being a white Latino.
What was the point of that story? You didn't know what you were. Someone thought you were something else. You agreed. And then you thought it was easier than saying what you actually were, because you didn't know what Mexican meant? Like, what's going on here?
Is like, you can live in two worlds, but not necessarily fully inhabit two worlds, because you're always taken out a little bit.
I'll start the morning with...
What? You're living in two worlds. My guess would be because you know what reality is, and then you were introduced later on to Marxism or some sort of ideological, philosophical, whatever, and now you're trying to break down reality through that lens with one eye and seeing it for what it is with the other, and you're constantly fucked.
Being a white Latino is like you can live in two worlds, but not necessarily fully inhabit two worlds because you're always taken out a little bit.
I'll start the morning with
The other thing I always say about some of this stuff when people are talking about their identity or the race stuff is, well, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, you know, when the racism is an institutional, systemic combination of power plus privilege, what are you saying? Like, so many, like, this guy the other day, for example, came at me online because at first he's trying to claim there's no such thing as planned obsolescence. That companies wouldn't make things to eventually fall apart so they could sell you another one. I mean, it's a ludicrous thing to try to deny. But tries to take a personal jab at me over that. Well, he believes in this. And then is like, oh, I shouldn't have been so mean. Me being that mean puts me in the category I'm about reason and evidence and facts and logic. And if I was like this, it'd make me like the same filth I say that should die when the earth burns up from climate change. And it's like, okay, buddy. See, you've learned a couple buzzwords like facts and reason and evidence and empirical data, and you're just inflating your own ego and showing that, like, peacocking, basically, because then you tail end it with a little bit about climate change, which lacks a whole bunch of all of those things, but because 97% of scientists say so, it must be true. Why would we question authorities? I don't know.
British family, end it with a Pakistani, start it being stiff upper lip with fried eggs, and end it with curry and big drama.
So you get lots of good food? What is this? What are you saying? What does it mean to pass? What is the point of this? Oh, this gives me faith in humanity. 10 times more people dislike it than like it.
Pass as white? It means to pass as somebody who's white and therefore reap the benefits that come with being white in the world that we live in.
You can basically...
What benefits? I just saw a Democrat chairman on stage saying she's going to shut you down. Is that the benefit? Being shut down? Or being in the middle of a conversation and someone saying, well, you wouldn't understand it, you're white. Is that the benefit? Having people talk to you like you're fucking handicapped while acting as if everyone else is because you're handicapped? I mean, that's the amazing part of it. You're white, therefore you get no say, you get no opinion, you can culturally appropriate, you did all this evil shit, this, and that. And that's why we need to handle all these minorities and gay people and everything like that. Like, they're special ed, because that's how we shut you down, by treating everyone else like they're retarded. This is a formula for success, you can tell, right?
Live your life out in this country as like a white person if you wanted to, but you could then be like, wait, but I'm actually like a POC, like when it suits you and like when you wanted to like break bread with your fellow POC.
Are you saying there's a time where it's better to be a poke? Poke? POC? Poke? There's privilege? Poke privilege? Poke privilege?
Brethren.
I think most people think that I would pass as white, and sometimes it hurts my feelings. I would like my ethnicity to show a little bit more, I guess.
So get dreads. Braid your hair. Wear a dashiki. Do something ethnic. Throw on a sombrero. How about that? Throw him for a loop. Keep up this Mexican bit. Why not?
I over-explained my identity to so many people all the time. Like, they'd be like, oh, where are you from? I'd be like, Venezuela. I'm Latina. I know I don't look it, but, and they're like, it's fine. You just needed to say the country.
I lived in Williamsburg.
Yeah, see, most people don't care. You want to give a tirade. You want to give a, well, when I first awoke, I viewed myself as Latino. And then later on, after learning, I realized that I was Venezuelan, but I also am part Jewish. So I'm a Jewish Venezuelan. And they're just like, you lost me after the first, where are you from? Like, they probably ask you a second again, because you're babbling incoherently.
3 years in the same building, and I got asked all the time if I was, like, the super.
I honestly feel guilty I'm this white. I feel guilty. Because I want to feel...
White guilt embodied.
The strife of my people, but I absolutely don't. No one follows me when I go into an H&M.
For a lot of my life, I didn't realize I was passing without realizing I was.
No one's following anyone into an H&M. Stores have very specific rules about shoplifting, and they can follow a person while they're in the store, but they can't follow them out. Where I worked with this really amazing, I worked at an H&M, and our security guy was a really amazing Muslim guy who put me on to The Secret of Jekyll Island and all, you know, I mean, not like Muslim, more like Nation of Islam Muslim. Black guy, real into conspiracy theories. He was the coolest guy. I've been really lucky that I have somehow always positioned myself around these older black gentlemen who are extremely wise, extremely political. I mean, in high school, there's a guy who's a former Black Panther, who I started referring to him as my father. Then there was a guy when I was working at a smoke shop, 33rd degree Freemason from Washington, D.C., who was like a FBI agent, like fucking Black James Bond shit. So, I mean, that's part of why I don't get this whole, save the blacks, they're mentally retarded shit, because I know so many that are, like, above and beyond what you would even consider reality, like, and they know this shit is, they don't buy into this identity politics. Like, the guy who's the Freemason from Washington, mind you, he outranks Obama in Obama's Masonry Hall. He would just say, most of the important decisions in the world are made by like 6 dudes in a woodshed. Like, kind of referring to the Jekyll Island, idea that there's just a Rothschild, a Rockefeller, the Queen of England, and a few other people just sitting in the middle of nowhere in a little shed, just being like, all right, so we're going to do this. We're going to collapse this country, buy up this on this day, and do this. All right, good seeing ya. And I mean, at this point, they're probably just having hologram meetings or something. But it was never, white people, this, and I mean, he grew up in Georgia when it was segregated. So, he has also won the lotto once. Like, I mean, just so many blessings that, and he would never try to compare what's going on now to then. He would be a really great person to interview. I see him driving around every now and then. I should try to arrange that. But let's get back into this nonsense.
I was passing, and then when I stopped passing all the time, I realized sort of how good I had it.
There are definitely benefits to passing as white.
Passing is something that perhaps I do unconsciously, which is incredibly easy for me. I'm sure there's people that wish that they could pass in times are a little difficult.
While it does come with challenges, there's enormous benefit to being both. British culture and Pakistani culture is so disparate that I feel I'm a lot richer as a person for having imbibed both as a child and being raised in both worlds.
I don't fit into categories, and I think most people don't fit into categories. And growing up and living with an identity that's so weird and confusing to people has helped me and opened my mind to other people who don't fit into categories.
People think that I'm everything. They think I'm Brazilian or some kind of Latina, even Jewish. I get people asking me if I'm Jewish a lot, and I actually really enjoy that. I like that I could pass for anything, really. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change the percentages or...
I'm still missing what the benefits were. They just said they are there, and they don't... This is one of those things. It's reality, though. The other video, they told me it's reality, so I have to know it's reality. Like, notice they didn't say, "Oh, it works out great when you're looking for a parking spot," or you know, when you open a bank account, like, or you know. I mean, when they get pulled over by cops, they already get an advantage because they're women. I know girls who, they'll pull down their shirt a little bit, you know, guys will naturally want to protect women, they'll cry, whatever. I really hate that this shit has spread into this stuff. Like I've said over and over, part of the motivating factor in making these videos and taking the time to denounce all this stuff publicly is because all of my nieces and nephews are all some sort of mixed race. My one niece looks white, blonde hair, blue eyes. She's a quarter German, half whatever my family is. We're mutts. And a quarter Puerto Rican. My other niece is white and Jamaican. You know, it's like... other kids black and white, like, you know, it's just all so mixed up. And they should never have to feel like there's a problem with any of that. But when you do this sort of shit, do you pass as white? Is it unconscious? I mean, these questions, this is why you have to assert that it's reality, because you're talking about people's unconscious minds. What is going on? I don't know why this is even happening. It's ridiculous. The end. Fuck these people.